A Very Cumphobiecack Christmas by Barry Dominic Graham and Hannah Helena Graham, authors of Mr. Cumphobiecack, the Glumpet of Glee. This audiobook is lovingly and profoundly dedicated to Helen Frances Graham, a wonderful wife and mother whom we will love to the end of an endless end and beyond. The Glumpets of Glee, happy still as can be, now prepare for the season of Yule. Favours and treats of cakes, puddings, and sweets will make Mr. Cumphobiecack drool. Life's joys are now his, with his wife Effie Fizz, and his parents restored to his side. With friends all around, they still live underground, 'neath the oak in their forest with pride. But as snow gently falls, amidst decking their halls, a calamity soon will descend. The Cumphobiecack Christmas in balance will hang, as the future on them will depend. 'Twas Christmas Eve in the forest, where still the Cumphobiecack stayed. The Glumpets of Glee they forever would be, as their love of this place would ne'er fade. The snow had been tenderly falling, caressing the forest and fields. Pure white, glistening bright, it gave Yuletide delight to the creatures the forest concealed. Mr. Cumphobiecack, now with a wife, and his mum and dad back by his side, was filled with the joy that he'd felt as a boy, which he shared with his parents and bride. Effie, his wife, had completed his life, but both hoped to be blessed with a child. Should the Green Man appear, with such news they could hear, it would render them thrilled and beguiled. As Mr. Cumphobiecack woke in the morn of this beautiful Christmas Eve day, his parents and wife had already begun getting all festive tasks under way. Clumsy as ever, he fell out of bed, with his giant middle toes through the sheet. As it tangled around, he crashed hard on the ground, with it now tying up both his feet. He wriggled about like a worm in a sprout, as he desperately tried to get free, but rolled under the bed, where it has to be said was a chamber pot brimming with pee. With his face in the Po, he had nowhere to go, as his hands were now also entwined. But luckily Effie could hear his distress while he gurgled and struggled and whined. To rescue she came, whilst accepting the blame, feeling bad she'd not heard him before. But Mr. Cumphobiecack wouldn't agree, as she helped him get up from the floor. He smelled rather strong with the terrible pong that arose from his jollops and head, and although one was normal and dealt with each day, the pee on his face he did dread. He bathed in the sink to get rid of the stink, until totally cleansed of the wee, then ate a jam tart in the shape of a heart, as he slurped on a mug of oak tea. His parents and bride took it all in their stride, as they made their home jolly and gay. They'd decked all their halls with big glittery balls, and had tinsel adorning their sleigh. The treats were prepared that were soon to be shared, from honey-glazed acorns to grapes. The eggs of the Wapiti furnished the nog, and sugar-plum sauce filled the crepes. It was Mr. Cumphobiecack's remit to find a suitable log for the Yule, so he put on his jacket of mistletoe leaves that he truly thought made him look cool. After kissing his kin on the ear and the chin, due to both of his eyes being cocked. He then mounted the sleigh, speeding quickly away, unaware that his route had been blocked. Onward he raced, knowing not what he faced, being pulled by a badger and fox. Veering sharp to the right, as their fate came in sight, left the sleigh to crash into some rocks. Being dazed and confused, somewhat less than amused, such a sudden jolt now left him numb. Then, to make matters worse, as he tried not to curse, he soon realized he'd broken his bum. He made a weird sound as he rolled on the ground, with the tears welling up in his eyes. But soon he arose with his giant middle toes, which are stronger than both of his thighs. Mr. Cumphobiecack, baffled and shocked, now questioned why rocks had appeared. He scanned all around, but no clue could be found, unsuspecting 'twas what he most feared. The snow, still descending, had covered the tracks of an ogre now prowling the wood. Many years had it been since this monster was seen, when it hunted for people and food. Just then did appear a strange image most queer, as it hovered midst snow-mantled trees. A misty blue blob, like a bad artist's daub, now hauntingly hung in the breeze. With a flash and a pop, then a ping and a plop, now revealed was a creature unknown. It looked like a bat, with the face of a cat, as it lingered above like a drone. In a soft, eerie tone, like a moan or a groan, it then whispered its name and intent. 'Twas a bogie named Bog, come to offer a log, on behalf of a friend he'd been sent. This bogie, named Bog, had the smell of a hog, but remained ever gentle and cute. It then drifted away to the brow of a brae, where it pointed below with its foot. Mr. Cumphobiecack limped to the spot where the bogie now floated aloft. But he slithered and slid, like a slippery squid, upon snow that was no longer soft. There, all aglow, in a hollow down low, was a log that was shimmering bright. With his task now performed, then the bogie informed 'twas a gift sent from Sammy the Sprite. For Mr. Cumphobiecack one moonlit eve had hauled Sammy's gran out of gunge. She'd got herself stuck in some wuggle-puff muck after visiting old Riney Flunge. With a snort and a slurp, then a pimp and a burp, Bog the bogie dissolved out of sight. So Mr. Cumphobiecack crawled down the hill to this magical log bathed in light. As he reached for this gift, it then started to lift, and was floating about in the air. It soon shot to his rump with a delicate thump, where it healed up his cracked derriere. With joy in his heart, and the help of a fart, he then rapidly rose to his feet. Grabbing hold of his log, he proceeded to jog, now content that his task was complete. Sammy the Sprite had indeed soothed his plight, and restored all his sweet Christmas dreams. But when reaching the sleigh, he was filled with dismay upon hearing distressed distant screams. The sleigh was a wreck, so he started the trek to then quickly return to his home. When out of a portal wee Tam there appeared, leading Luke and Nathaniel the gnome. With his friends rallied round, he then sped to the sound of commotion, disruption, and fear. Awful tension arose from his toes to his nose as the cries of distress became near. At last they arrived to see all still survived, but relief was replaced by alarm. There, raging about, as snot swung from his snout, was the ogre, determined to harm. He wasn't alone, as he brandished his bone that had once been the leg of a bear. for clumping behind was a goblin, half blind, as its eyes were obscured by its hair. But being a fairy possessing great powers, we Tam called the spirits of Yule. Then Lucas the leprechaun reached down his pants and extracted a magical jewel. Mr. Cumphobiecack wept with despair as he witnessed his loved one so scared. There'd been cranberry picking from young Effie's bush, that a big festive pie be prepared. Cut off from the shelter supplied by their home, the Cumphobiecacs cowered in fear. A repeating of history now seemed in store as the ogre and goblin drew near. The goblin then lurched to the cranberry bush upon catching a scent in the air, for the odour of cranberries mixing with fear was much more than this villain could bear. It snorted and slobbered, then dribbled and drooled as it reached where the family now winced. Whilst rummaging madly about in the bush, this goblin was suddenly minced. The ogre gazed round at the bits on the ground, looking baffled whilst banging about. As a lightning bolt flashed, he then also was mashed, leaving only his bones sticking out. With the crisis now past, all the mess was cleaned fast, till the mountain of gizzards was gone. Thus the magical jewel and the spirits of Yule had triumphantly overpowered brawn. With snowfall sustained, not a giblet remained, and the scene was serene and sublime. Christmas cheer was maintained, love and peace was regained, leaving all to enjoy a great time. 'Twas just about then the Green Man came again, just the same as in decades gone by. While he clung to a tree, he was pleased to decree a Cumphobiecack baby was nigh. With Christmas revived, Effie's parents arrived, now creating a Yuletide complete. Soon family and friends, plus a few odds and ends, would make merry till all were replete. The following year would bring similar cheer, but enhanced by a new Glumpet child. It wasn't so bad that she looked like her dad, for the world turned to gold when she smiled. So we leave the tale there, but please do not despair, as the Glumpets of glee never end. The Cumphobiecack family embrace every day, and forever will welcome a friend. Yuletide blessings to all. The end. You have been listening to A Very Cumphobiecack Christmas by Barry Dominic Graham and Hannah Helena Graham. Narrated by Peter Baker. Production copyright 2018 by Barry Dominic Graham and Hannah Helena Graham.